In this particular video, we will look into two groups of kingdom protista. If we talk of all the groups, then the first group is the chrysophytes, which we talked of in previous video. In this particular video, we will talk about dinoflagellates and we will talk about euglenoids. Now, talking of the habitat of dinoflagellates, then these are mostly marine. These are photosynthetic, and in this case the color can be different. So these can be of blue color, green color, yellow, red or brown. So it will depend on the main pigment which is present in cell. So whatever is the color of the main pigment, this particular dinoflagellate will take the color of that pigment. Now the structure of cell wall is a bit different over here. Here there are stiff cellulose plates which are present on outer surface. Now we can compare it with the chrysophytes. In the case of chrysophytes, there was silica which was present in their cell wall, but here it is cellulose plates which are present over here. Now one more difference with chrysophytes will be that here two flagella will be present. Now the first flagella will be placed longitudinally and the other flagella will be placed transversely, and these will arise from the furrow. So this is the furrow which is present between the cell walls, and these flagella will arise from this particular furrow. Talking of the example, red dinoflagellates. So red dinoflagellates are called as gynolecs, and if these are rapidly multiplying, then the sea will appear red, and that is why we call this phenomena as red tide. Now, this particular red tide is not good for marine animals because these dinoflagellates, when these increase in number, these release toxins, and these toxins will kill other marine animals such as fishes. Talking of the next group after dinoflagellates, that is euglenoids. So, first we will talk about the habitat. Here, these euglenoids are mostly freshwater organisms. In the case of fresh water, these are found in stagnant water. Now, these are photosynthetic. We can remember that chrysophytes were photosynthetic, dinoflagellates were photosynthetic. These are also photosynthetic, but here a condition is different, that till the time sunlight is present, these will be photosynthetic. But if sunlight is absent, that is these are deprived of sunlight, then these will start acting like heterotrophs, and these will start predating on smaller organisms. So that means these are the organisms which can be photosynthetic, as well as these can be heterotrophic if sunlight is absent. Now, talking of the pigments present here are identical to higher plants. In the earlier two cases, that is chrysophytes and dinoflagellates, we talked about cell wall that is present. Now, in the case of euglenoids, cell wall will be absent, and instead of cell wall, there will be a protein-rich layer, pellicle, which will be present in this case. Now, if cell wall was there, it was making the body rigid, but here cell wall is absent and pellicle is present, and that is why it will make their body flexible. Talking about the flagella are present here. The number of are two, and one is the short flagella and other is the long flagella. A very common example of euglenoids is euglena, which is shown in this particular case. In this particular video, we will talk of the fourth group of kingdom protista, that is the slime molds, as well as we will talk of the fifth and last group, that is protozoans. So before this slime molds, there were three groups which were present. The first was chrysophytes, the second were dinoflagellates, and the third was euglenoids. And here we are starting the slime molds. So initially talking about the habitat. So in the case of slime molds, the body moves along decaying twigs and leaves, and these engulf organic matter, and these are the heterotrophs. So if we talk of the initial three groups, those were photosynthetic, but slime molds are heterotrophic, And since these were depending on decaying twigs and leaves, so the condition will be saprophytic. Now, if the conditions are suitable, there will be different structure. If the conditions are unfavorable, then the condition will be different. So, if the conditions are favorable, then lot of slime molds will form an aggregation, and the aggregation will be called as plasmodium. Now, this particular aggregation does not have cell wall. So, cell wall is absent, and this aggregation of plasmodium can grow and can spread over several feet. So, this is the structure when favorable conditions are present. But if the conditions are unfavorable, in that case, the plasmodium, the aggregation, it will differentiate and it will form fruiting bodies. Fruiting bodies will have spores at their tips. Now, these spores will help this particular slime mold to survive even under adverse conditions. Now, talking of the spores which are formed by the fruiting bodies, these have true cell walls. So, the point to be remembered here is that Plasmodium was not having cell wall, but these spores will have true cell wall. These spores will be extremely resistant and will survive for many years, and these spores will be dispersed by air currents. So, the diagram which will we see, it is an example of slime mold.